Welcome everyone to VR Jungle, a Havoc podcast. Today we have Joel, or a lot of people that would know in like the social media scene or even on Discord is RuckUp VR. There's a lot that he's doing and way more than I can even explain because how much he's doing in VR. I mean, I can give a little spiel of like, selling stuff for headgears, making games, just making content. And so if you want to take it over there and really get into depth of all the stuff you do, because I think there's even more that you probably do, right?
Absolutely. So basically what I've kind of gotten into VR a little later than most people. I want to get that straight off the deck because a lot of people have been in this game for years, absolutely years. And I actually just kind of started just after Christmas or before Christmas of last year.
Okay.
What I did was I got two headsets that I was going to give the family for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is a little bit of a spiel and a rant,
but good.
I think it kind of fits it perfect.
Yeah.
And what I did was I got them for Christmas, but then I was like, I want to try them because I kind of gotten into it and I want to know what it's all about. So I opened them up and I just went crazy on them. And I just fell in love the second it was in.
Oh yeah, that's everyone's story.
And then, well, exactly, right? And so when I started, there was a couple avenues that I wanted to go with it, especially because I felt the immersion of what VR actually really was. And as we were talking about before, I did a little bit of podcasting. So I liked the whole doing something like the content creation or whatever, and again, the behind the scenes stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so when I started doing that again, because for the whole 2 years I did do podcasting, I was kind of feeling a niche for something.
Yeah.
And so I just started making videos back again, and I enjoyed doing it. And I think that kind of got me back into the love for being in front of the camera and just kind of doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found that the community itself is something that is a lot better than I have ever seen in my life. I think that it's very, I don't want to say forgiving, because it's not, but it's at the same time, it's something that I think that is very, I can't even think of the right word for it, but it's like, it's humbling. Because everybody wants to be a part of something and there's no people stepping over you to get it.
Yeah.
Whereas we were talking earlier about the podcasting. It felt like there was somebody trying to always step over top of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just couldn't handle that. So I sat down and I thought about what I wanted to actually do in the VR space. And I've thought of not just content creation. I wanted to do a lot more. I wanted to really get immersed in video games and the games itself. And I also wanted to see what the business side of it was. So I started, me and my wife, we started a business a little while ago, and we had 3D printers. We got all this other stuff that we make other stuff out of, other products. And then I saw decals on VR headsets, and right away I was like, that's cool, like that's something I want to do. So I started making decals. From decals it turned into designing my own game, and then from there it turned into accessories, and it's just gone from there. It just, every time I have an idea, if I can afford it, exactly, I'll go do it. But it can be pretty costly. So I got to make sure that I'm doing the right one, right? Mm-hmm. So, but other than that, that's kind of what brings me up to today. And I'm loving the community. I'm loving the space. I think that, I think it's great, and it's just interesting to be in.
Yeah, and I definitely know what you mean when you're talking about, like we were talking about how sometimes people aren't always the greatest people that they perceive to be in a community that we live in, because especially the really old content creators, they have such a huge following. They could, no matter what they do, they're not looked at anymore as like, oh, they messed up. It's just like, oh, that's just him, whatever. He makes good content. And it's like me, where it's like smaller people come in, they look at me and they're just like, ah, you're nothing. So now, like I even told you, like I wasn't even going to do this for a while until like I started just like asking everybody. I wasn't just going for devs anymore. I was going for people that actually played the esports team, the people that like you that are just everywhere in VR that need a voice as well, unlike the devs. And like, of course, I love doing developers as well, which you fit in there as well. Just like letting like the smaller indie game people, because I think in VR a lot of people are just all indie unless you got bought by Facebook or you have resolution games behind you like sometimes. And so I'm like, yeah, let me give you an opportunity to talk about your game instead of just going on some browser that, because if you have anything in App Labs, if you don't have someone or a really good following on social media, Oculus does not show you. You have to be searched. You have to have a Discord. They do not put you in like an App Lab section. That does not exist, and that blows my mind.
It blows my mind too. I could not agree more. And I don't understand why. Okay, so a couple topics here. AAA titles, right? Everybody's talking about, oh, we need more.
Yeah.
Do you really want more?
No.
that I think that's where we need to start. Okay, we need to start with the indie developers and really build up what VR is. Because there are some amazing developers right now. These games aren't going to blow you away with graphics, but the gameplay ability, the different storylines you've never could ever imagine are being created right now, and we're overpassing them. And I know I remember I did a post a little while ago, and I was talking about Half-Life Alex. I swear to God, if I hear Half-Life Alex one more fucking time, my head's gonna explode.
If you talk anyone about, especially PC VR. What's your favorite game that plays PC VR? I only got it because of Half-Life Alex. That's all you hear. I definitely agree with you.
Why? There's so many better games. Like, and I think that people miss like. And the other one is it free? Well, yeah. There's not all games that are free, but you can go into App Labs, you can go into SideQuest. SideQuest has some great. I remember I bought a game for $2 off SideQuest. It was the most bullshit graphics I've ever fucking played, but I loved the game. I absolutely loved it. I think it was a great game.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the Indian developers, they get shafted every time. They don't get the recognition they deserve.
No, I definitely agree, and like that's why SideQuest has done a really good job of developing their tools. And yeah, they do show App Lab stuff too, because they actually give them that front and center page that Oculus is not doing. And that's why like I felt like there was a VR headset that was going to be based off of SideQuest. Well, I thought it was going to be the Pico Neo, but is it not going to be? I thought they now switched to they're going to have their own store. But I thought there was one in development with SideQuest because it is really a good thing for everyone, you know.
I agree.
Because a lot of times Oculus has been getting so hard with just getting your game into App Labs. SideQuest, like, why wait? Get your alpha testing, get your beta testing, just get people's opinions off of that, because a lot more people use SideQuest than they think, you know.
Yeah.
And I know people are like, well, you have to go and you have to become a developer and then you have to put your Oculus in development mode. Okay, that takes 30 minutes out of your day. It really is not that hard. I literally was talking to a kid that was probably way under the age of the limits of being on an Oculus, and he was talking all about these SideQuest games. I'm like, oh, so you figured out how to do that? And he goes, yeah, just watch the YouTube video. I'm like,
yeah,
these kids are way smarter than you think. They they came out of the womb with an app, an Apple something or an Android tablet, watching Cocomelon and YouTube like this, like just zoomed in to their freaking brains.
Well, exactly. And I think that we have a lot of different options. We don't just need to go with what Oculus or Meta has given us.
Exactly.
I think that Meta has to really be very careful, because if they don't market their stuff properly and they don't start letting a lot more apps in there, the other headsets are going to blow them out of the water.
Yeah.
And when Meta raised their prices $100, do you think people care about $100 at the end of the day? For a piece of hardware like a gaming console?
It was definitely a talking thing, and it really, it did piss people off because
it did. But sales also went up.
It did, but you know what it showed people though is that they own the market.
100%.
That's all that meant. Yeah. They just literally took out, metaphorically, just know what I'm talking about, and laid it right on the freaking table and said, "Come at us. We're not going to lower the price until someone starts developing something." I don't blame them.
No, I don't either. It's a good business move.
Yeah.
And I think that when they were, because they need to make a bit more money, they do, and they need to put it
Well,
back into more R&D,
you know
because
why
the
they
R&D
lost their
right.
money, right?
Well, yeah, but um
XR,
but
let's want to get to XR.
I think that I think they're doing what they can. um this isn't their only baby, right? So they have other projects going on, but I think they just have to be careful, because other people, like you said, other companies are going to come out with
Hmm.
their version of the headset. Hell, maybe I'll do it. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who does it, but somebody's going to come out with another one. It's going to be an Android or something compatible,
Yeah.
where you can get, like, go onto Google and download all your games too.
Hmm.
And then what are you going to do? Then you're screwed as a developer, because, well, not as a developer, you could develop anything and throw it onto VR. So I think Meta just has to be very careful, and do it right. That's all.
Yeah, and so what's really the only thing that's really holding people back from seeing other companies doing it is because they're waiting for Oculus to make the all be all headset that's going to take a little while to have any more advancement in technology. They're gonna reach a point within the next 5 to 10 years where that's gonna be what it is, and then it's basically gonna be an Apple iPhone model. They're gonna change a chip here and there every year, but it's gonna be the same thing. That's all
Yeah,
it's going to be. And so basically, these bigger companies are going to be like, okay, that's a good point where I think we can now take all that idea, make our headset, put our name on it, maybe make a new library, which I hope not, because all these other headsets and competitors, they always make these exclusive things. And I hate
yeah,
exclusive games. I get why you do it because, like PlayStation's pretty good at it, like the Iron Man, stuff like that. It was a marketing thing. But let's not make something that's a AAA game like another like a battle royale Call of Duty that's only for PlayStation. I think that
yeah,
would really piss people off, especially with how VR is. I don't think it would touch the same as the console wars and the PC wars that have been going on for since early 2000s pretty much.
yeah.
So we'll
I,
see how it goes.
I agree. I think that all VR should be cross-platform
Hmm.
with other type of VR headsets, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, even for, like, when me and the kids, we put on all of our headsets and we play Rec Room together, like that. One of the kids can be on the computer, and we can be playing on the headsets or whatever it may be. That is probably the most fun that we have, being able to actually do that type of integration with the rest of the family
Yeah.
that may or may not have headsets, or friends over wherever they may be, right?
Hmm.
So I think that that's really good. I wish more games were like that, but then again, also you look at the flip side and you think, well, then that opens the doors for a lot of other things. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's catch 22.
yeah, they made that the app that you can actually play with people that are sitting in your room, and you're like chasing, like you're throwing stuff at a giant that's in the
Yeah,
VR headset. That's a pretty cool one. I think another really fun is like just like getting people interactive and like reading. Like I was in like some group of people like just hanging out with them that are really introverts. They don't really are explosive. They're just kind of nerdy
yeah,
type people
yeah,
to themselves. And next thing you know, this kid was like, "Hey, let's who wants to not blow up and stop a bomb?" Next thing you know, he has this huge manual. We're flipping around trying to make sure we
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
explode. Like if you're doing this, you're doing that, and so there's non AAA games that are good for because anymore board games are not always the greatest anymore. You can
yeah,
unless you're like me, where you're from the '90s and you're like, cool, board game, that's fun. But at the same time,
yeah,
where's the future gonna
yeah.
be at? So we'll
Well,
see
yeah,
how the headsets go. But Oculus is planned for the next. They're about to have stores like an Apple Store where you're walking in and seeing 5 different headsets that you can purchase from.
yeah. I don't know how. I don't know if that's a smart move. I think it's weird because everybody's getting away from stores right now, so it makes you wonder why they're starting to open up a store. So it's interesting. Everyone's going online, right? So it's interesting to see that. Wonder if they're competing with Amazon.
So I think the only way why their store will work is because they'll have gaming rooms
Right. Yeah.
where they might even have competitions where they might actually host local tournaments of people that are might be well known in the area or something. I mean, they got something back behind, but then again, Facebook, hasn't been making the greatest business moves lately.
No.
Especially with changing it to Meta, that whole entire shift like completely crushed their stocks for a hot minute because people are like, "What in the world is this?"
Yeah.
And then Horizons is not doing too good as of right now. And then they had to raise the prices, obviously, because the XR thing is going to be another
Yeah.
5 years. And a lot of investors are like, hey, you need to start giving us money or we're pulling out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I wonder too, like with XR, I was surprised because I thought that was going to be really close in the future. I honestly really did.
yeah.
I would have put money on it, to be honest with you. I would have bet on it for sure, 10-1. But
Yeah.
that definitely is not going to be a thing. That's interesting.
Yeah, I just don't think there is enough people out there to develop XR yet. I think that they have the technology to bring it forward, but I think that when it gets built, like what are you going to use it for?
Yeah.
What are you really using XR for besides really high level technical jobs where you're actually trying to teach someone how to do something? Um,
Yeah, I think for the gaming community, I think it's pretty limited.
mm-hmm.
I know there was a horror game that was actually a video that was kind of filmed in a guy's hallway, and the apparition or the ghost or whatever kind of flowed through doorways.
Uh-huh.
So stuff like that would be cool. But in real life applications, I mean, you'd get like electricians being able to use it, plumbers, people that would actually use it in their fields. I could see that being a huge thing. And I remember, what did he say? I think it was, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Zuckerberg, but he said that if I can get productivity up 5% by giving one company these, then their productivity is up 5% of $500 item or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And that 5% can be thousands and thousands of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go in with those headsets and outline all the electrical fields in the wall, and you'd be like, I'm done. Like, there's a lot of potential for it in the gaming community. Somewhat, but not the business side.
I think the only thing that ever be used for is like in person, 2-room scale events, like
Right.
where you have this huge blocked off area that's open, and it'd have to be like some type of war paint, like almost like paintball, but with it where you could actually see things flowing through.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting on what they really want to do for the gaming stuff. But it seems like with their next headset that it's not even going to be tailored to gaming anyways. I don't know if people will use it. I could see them taking that as a more powerful PC VR connection, where they might just use it for PC VR and just use it for the graphics, and that's it. Because you don't need the store in that headset. You just need Steam and a link cable. That's all you need.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what people do with their Oculus now, because PC VR, if you don't want to spend another $1,000 or $1,200 on a PC VR headset, then you just take your $400 Oculus and you're still getting 120 frames, and that's if the game still allows it in the PC VR world.
Yeah. It was funny when I first hooked my Oculus, the headset, up to the PC. I was blown away by what it could do. I was like, this is a whole nother world that I didn't even know existed.
Mm-hmm.
And going into Steam VR, like you could literally, you could be lost for days or years. And it was just something that I didn't even think of, because when you first get Meta or you first get the Quest and you put it on, it's very like linear. This is Meta. This is what you get. This is our store. That's it. Shut it down. But then when you start Googling or you research, you're like, wait, I can plug this into a computer? No way. Mm-hmm. And then you plug it in and it's just like this whole nother world. And like you were talking about before with like the side quest, like knowing that you could have, and now side quest is side loaded onto the headset. So you don't even need a computer. You can just download whatever apps you want. And that's just mind boggling.
Yeah. And it just opens you up to another library, and there's some really good games that just haven't been given a good chance yet, I mean, that's where, there's still games out there that still are brilliant games that still have not got full attention. Like Grapple Tournament was a great game. and
Yeah.
it was like a very cartoon Halo-esque. You had spawn areas for your weapons. They had a really good grapple gun that flipped you around. And not only that, but whoever developed the AI in that for the bots, like, good congratulations, because when I was playing there and there was just not enough people to come in to do a match, I played these AI, and it was like playing real people.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
intense it was. And I'm just like, they didn't miss. They knew how to jerk around. They even grappled. They weren't just like, oh, boom, you're dead. They were actually
Yeah.
maneuvering like an actual human. I'm just like, okay, that's something I have not seen yet.
No, that's rare. That's
Mm-hmm.
very rare, especially with a lot of the shooter games. And I think that with the, I think that's something that a lot of AAA titles don't even think a lot about is the AI.
Mm-hmm.
I think they spend a lot of time on the graphics and on the characters. And yeah, of course they're going to make the NPCs as real as possible or do whatever they can. But when you're playing against AI, like you just said, you really know this is AI, this is a person. And
Yep.
I'm not saying that AI is at the point of reality yet, not that, but you just it doesn't give you the same immersion in the game because now you're just like I'm just playing against bots, and
Yeah.
that's a kind of that's a Debbie Downer, right? You're just like I don't even want to play anymore, and then somebody else joins the server.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And that was where the downfall of Larsenauts was, is that
yeah,
you had people you played with, but you'd have these bot lobbies, and they never changed it, and nor did their bots ever get any smarter. It was just like you knew when you were going against bots because it was very straightforward, and all they did was laser shoot you the whole entire time. It was just like it's not fun, and that's why I'm really interested in Ghost of Tabor. I've had him on the podcast. Scott from Combat Waffle. Wow, that took a lot to remember all that. So his game is going to have its own units of AI as well. That if you're going out and it's really late at night, like you're going to go in the loot, like you're just not going to be in an empty lobby. You're going to be running into these AI that apparently, what I was told, that they're going to be high level things that are, if you're in a certain area, they're going to go higher up in level. So, and not
yeah.
only that, but they're gonna be like decked out in armor and stuff. So I'm that's one game that I'm very excited to actually see how those AI play against.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna get to the point where you're not even gonna know the difference. I give it 10 years.
Give it 10
Maybe not
years.
even 10. 5 years. I'll
I
give it five
my
years.
range is always 5-10 years when I talk about like what's gonna be like really getting kind of nutty. Especially with other technologies coming out, you have Elon Musk, even making his Neuralink. Like, how
Yeah.
tied eventually will VR be to Neuralink, where it's gonna be like that Black Mirror episode where they literally just
Yeah,
like put something right here in their chip and they're like in the game, doing all kinds of weird stuff.
yeah. No, that's probably not far off. Um, but I think that it's going to be hard, especially for you, where you have a lot of in the esports environment where sometimes you don't even know if it's a human coming into the game,
hmm
and that's going to be something that I guess the esports community is going to have to police a little bit more because it is very easy to kind of swap in a AI if you want to rank up some points there, right?
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, how long until? Because right now they have basic downloadable cheats where obviously you can just. I think there's a cheat out there right now that was going around contractors where you literally headshot everybody. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of people that are putting anti cheats in. I know that that's one thing that Scott's working on is putting an anti cheat on. And there's another game recently that had to literally shut down their servers for anti cheating. Um, they shut it down to fix. And for some reason, why do I want to think that it was like Zenith, which isn't even esports, but something was going. Some weird game just had a
Yeah.
cheat, and they had to shut down their stuff. But I think a lot of VR is going to get smart into understand because they run programming in the back of it that can see things.
Yeah.
Now, how hard is it to, like you said, download an AI based off of your IP and your computer and then just run it all night long and let it play? Because there's like games back in the day, that, like Destiny. There was a game I used to play all the time. You used to go into one map where you had to verse all these people. Well, you can literally leave your controller there and you never time out. You just jump in constantly. It goes to a constant loop. Obviously,
Huh.
you piss off people because you're just standing there. but you're going
Yeah.
through all this loop, and you just get whatever, however far they make it, and people would sit there for hours on end just collecting all the stuff, and
Yeah.
it goes unnoticed because you're not cheating, and nor they didn't remove it out of the system to not kick you out.
Yeah, dude, my age, this is definitely going to show my age. SOCOM, the original for PlayStation,
Yeah, I know
where
it.
you could grab a grenade and you could throw it across the map and it would kill the entire team off the first shot. And it was something we would always do. We just, hey, watch this.
Yeah.
It was one of the first online games, and it would just blow everybody up, and you'd be like, just keep doing it. But that's the thing too, is like, and they never fixed that, but they didn't, because the map was so small anyway. They didn't think of the logic behind the throwing the grenade and what's going to happen if people just threw it over, and the spawn points and stuff like that. But nowadays, like even like Battlefield and all the newer games coming out, like people they're spawning, they're hacking the system as much as they can and throwing in as much cheats as they possibly can. But I just don't know. I don't know where it's going to end. And I know that there's a lot of different programs to help deter that and detect it, but then there's always going to be somebody who figures out a way around
and it's
it.
like, and I still to this day like don't understand why people do. I've never in my life, even for fun, because I know some people get on, they stream, they do it for fun, like, hey, this is what I look like with cheat. But what's the difference of you like moving some of those hacks and still keeping some of them on? Like you
Yeah.
know how to do it, and it's just like I would never have fun to go in there. Sometimes there's some games that I suck at, and no, I don't go out of my way to find cheats to be good. No, I
Yeah.
say I suck at the game and I go find a new one. I think that's just part of the generation I'm from. Is it if you look at a game, you suck at it, you'll go find another niche that you finally are meant to be in that place. But these the VR people, especially when it comes to cheating, I think once we start getting to more tracking, especially when they start doing eye tracking, and especially as soon as you click that allow button to hear your audio, they have every access that you have to your face, your eyes, your ears, and your mouth. And so
Yeah.
they could probably track that through code, not cheat as well, to actually realize what if you're really looking at that head and if you would have really
Right.
shot that head. And they're going as far as that. I know Epix does this. They completely ban your gamer tag and your computer. So everything that is linked to your computer that has a serial code is done for. The only way
Yeah.
to ever play that game is to buy a new computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it should be like that. I think
Yeah.
it totally should be like that. You're going to go and you're going to make it not fun for everybody else who paid money for that game. 100%, 100%. And like, it's sad that we got to police it like that. Like, I think that's,
Yeah.
and I think you're talking about generational gaps, but I think that the newer generation, and I say this a lot, but there's a little bit more like entitlement. And I'm not saying everybody. I'm not picking on it. I'm not blanketing everybody in this comment. What I'm saying though is the instant gratification for an action. So I want to get all of my items right now. I want to get all my kills right now. I want to get all my XP right now. Like, and that's where I think a lot of this is coming from, that intuition of, I don't want to wait to get it. I don't want to level up. I just want to level up right now. I just want to have everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that has a little bit of a play in it, but because we're noticing a lot more now than we did 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It just seems to be more of a.
Well, if you look at the history of games, right? So the very first games that were really at a competitive level would have been like Mario. They competed with that at a high level, or like Donkey Kong, or even like the games that were joystick in an arcade. You look at those, and they didn't really have rewards besides finishing the level or getting the highest score. That was the gratitude, and there was really no way to cheat to do that besides just the time played and learning the mechanics of the game. And then next thing you know, you have actual scoreboards, leaderboards, and all that. And then that right there creates animosity. Why am I not number one? And then on top of that, you have DLCs. And then the biggest one where you're talking about is like battle passes, which could have probably put this whole mental thing, is because I remember the first battle pass was Fortnite, and the very first night, they weren't even doing season yet. It was I don't even think it was right out of beta. They had their very first season pass with all the nights.
Yeah.
I don't believe you could have purchased that. I think you had to have finished everything and do everything you want for the accomplishments to beat it. And then the next thing happens, you can now buy it instead of rewarding yourself. So all
Yeah.
these people that had money or that were streamers wanted to look good on their streams, started purchasing it. And then it just started from there. I could see what you're talking about, where it's like, what's the point of sitting there playing a game for that high score when you're just like, here's my money, I'm gonna go look good and still suck. So
Yeah, and I find it so weird because companies can get away from doing that. They can still make money from selling stuff, but they can get away from the negative aspect of people paying to play, right? If they rewarded the top players with actual stuff rather than just say, okay, well, you still have to, you're in the top one. Great for you. Like that. Really, to me, if I see a leaderboard, it's just like, okay, you're at number one. I'm not. Like, but
yeah,
but at the end of the day, like, I mean, these top players, especially some of these streamers, they're investing a lot of time into these games. People are watching them. They're spending a lot of money on the games as well. They're putting more money back in the revenue of the company. Company goes out, buy them a fucking car, buy
yeah,
them something.
yeah.
Like, this guy's got to level, these guys, the top of the charts, give him something.
Yeah, and yeah, so with you saying that and bring this into the VR world, so Population One is finally doing that to where they're having an actual leaderboard for comp play. Now, does it
Yeah.
make for some really sweaty matches and a lot of, I mean, Population One, in my opinion, has always been the most toxic community. People can go ahead and shoot me in the leg if they want, but they know I'm not lying.
I agree.
There's these times
I
where
agree.
there's people that aren't. It's a fun game. I love playing it. I met a lot of really cool people. That's where Havoc started at. But there's
Yeah.
been times where there's a reason why we weren't top contender. Like we left Population One for a while because we're just like, there's too much bullshit going on between everyone in the community and as soon as they got bought by Facebook, they went from chattering in Discord to just like, I don't even think I see any of them anymore. And not
Yeah.
only that, I know they make a crap ton of money off their skins, but like you say, they have this leaderboard. But what's the point of being number one besides a cool free skin? Like, yeah, it'd be cool. Like,
Right.
if they're like, this many people could actually earn a profit or something, or just like as simple as merchandise, because people are gonna wear that merchandise instead of third-party people selling their logo, and then just
Yeah.
like, this is an official Population One thing, and then people are like, what's Population One? And the next thing you know, they're buying it, they're returning the revenue. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
But it's like, so there's a company called Rezzle. I don't know if you heard of them, but so
No.
they started over, and I believe Pesky, if he's in here, he'd have to correct me. But Pesky Cashew, he does a lot of article writing. He also, his Discord's in the description here. If you have there, it shows you everything that's possible for winning money. If you want to win money, his Discord that's solely for that is tournaments and all that. So
Yeah.
he found a company called Rezzle is started out in the UK for teaching people how to play soccer, how to throw a football, all that, just real science sports stuff through VR. Well, they're just like, hey, let's make this an actual physical game. And I think it's still now like $10,000 in prize every month. And
Wow.
so, yeah, not only that is that you can get number one, and I think the most there people are winning now like $25 to $5,000 for getting first. And like, trust me, you're sweating your ass off. Like I tried to be number one month, and I was like, man, I'm losing way too much weight, way too fast. But not only that, but if you don't want to be part of their main overhaul, they get to play every game and get number one. They have individual things. So if you say for the soccer head thing, they take real life scenarios with that could have won like a world championship, and then they say, all right, whoever gets top number one of this gets that guy's jersey, authentic jersey of him. And so
See?
that's a cool thing. Like
Yeah.
why are not other people doing
Incentive.
that? Yeah, incentive.
100%. Like, why would I get to? I don't have enough drive to get up to number one on the leaderboard as is. Like, if I'm just competing with people, I really don't care if you win or lose.
Yeah.
I just don't care enough. So to me, but if you're gonna throw some type of prize in it, or hell, if I win, make a skin of me and put it in the game. Like
Right.
do something other than just let me sit up there until somebody beats me.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's always going to be a number two. There's always going to, that person's always going to beat you, but then give something to that person. You can't tell me that the amount of revenue you're spending on that doesn't generate more revenue going down the line from some other. If I knew I was going to win something, I'd play the game more. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, if you haven't checked that, like even if you don't, like give it the old try, old college try one day, just
Yeah.
just just doing it because they're really fun. They're they really the mechanics and everything are pretty well built. And I still look at the leaderboards today. And I'm just like, what in the hell are you guys doing to get up there? Because I tried, and I think the highest I got was top 12. And that
Yeah.
was me just bleeding sweat, and I'm just like, yeah, cool. Maybe I'll get a penny one day.
Well, it's the same as so I'm big on fitness on the VR. That's my thing. I enjoy doing it. I do have a bike over there at weights and stuff like that, so I do that a little bit. But on the VR, when I'm working out and I'm looking at leader, so you want to actually, I'm going to totally backtrack on what I said about being on top of the leaderboard and not getting anything out of it.
Uh-huh.
Because when I would look at the top of the leaderboard when I'm working out on what am I at? Like FitXR or whatever the other ones are,
Hmm.
I'm always trying to beat the other person
Yeah,
because,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you're just in that mindset anyway, and you're just going for it. But some of those scores I'm looking at, that's not human. There's no way those people are reaching those numbers. Absolutely not. And then I figured it out, especially with the FitXR. There's ways of cheating the actual app to thinking that you're working out. And I
what's
was
the
like,
point of doing that?
that's my point. Like, oh, you've now set a bar on the system, and now everybody has to try to beat you. And there, you got people like myself, and probably you too, where you're like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm another 1,000 points away, and then all of a sudden you see this, and you're like, well, how do you get a million fucking points like right there?
Yeah.
And you're like, there's no way I'm going to do that. What's going on here? So I spent one game, and I cheated the whole way through because I'm like, okay, I can play this game too. I'm going to race that guy to the top.
That's funny.
but the thing is like that, we're circling back to our original conversation about cheating. And it's not fair for people that actually want to get up that ladder.
Hmm.
And they're just like, well, there's no way I can do that without cheating. So, but for myself, a lot of the times, I don't care if I'm fifth or sixth or whatever it is. I'm just there to work out.
Yeah,
So I just want
yeah.
to get my sweat on. I really don't care. But when I see somebody with a hugely elaborated score, I even will message the developers and say, hey, you guys might want to check this out. Like this seems a
Yeah,
little
why? Yeah,
weird.
exactly. Why not?
And I'm not trying to rat people out, but I don't think it's fair that I paid $40 for an app or a game or whatever it may be, and there's no possible way that I'll get a ranking of anything. And I think that's
Yeah,
a little unfair.
yeah, and it definitely like I'm all for like putting something in when it is deliberately uh noticeable. Just like small thing, it like even when it comes to like bad language stuff like that, like so Havoc, we have like this non-toxic policy stuff like that. That I follow very religiously. So if I have anyone that is on there, like there was someone I literally recorded, like they kept on saying like the N word and like just bad things towards one of my players on there, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
who is this guy saying that? I was recording the whole time. I go, I will get you banned. My
yeah,
mission tonight now is to get off this game and get you banned now.
yeah,
Because what you're
absolutely.
doing there, you're going out of your way and you don't even know this person. And I don't even care if you are the same as him. That you're
Yeah,
still going out of your way to do that. And so it's like, even with the cheating thing, it's like if you're going out of your way that you took time and effort to, ruin a game in any formality. I'm sorry,
yeah,
like get out of here. Like what's the point of it? But then you have people like my team gets scrutinized all the time. Like we have people, I'm not gonna name teams, but literally when they see any of my top players, they'll come in and watch it and just start recording to see if we do anything that seems like it's cheating. And
yeah.
it's like why waste your time on doing that?
Right. Now, what about a 15-year-old or an 18-year-old that doesn't have the same like same thought process of like leaving the game because of a toxic environment or people cheating or whatever it may be, they don't have the same mentality as somebody who's 28, 30,
Yeah.
40, where they've been around the block and they know, okay, you know what, screw this guy, I'm out. Like I and when we talk about kids playing, I have a very different mentality about VR and kids being allowed to play than a lot of other people. A lot of people say it's a straight up no. I'm not really on that wavelength. But when my kids play, and I allow my kids to play, but my kids, A, have to be supervised. Secondly, usually they're playing online with us in a private room, so I'm not really bugging. We have 4 headsets at our house, so we just play as a family anyway.
Yeah.
But there are younger kids that do play the games, and when I play with a younger kid, especially when I have with Pop One and stuff like that, first of all, they usually kick our butts. Secondly, we have to respect the fact that whether or not you want that kid playing, he's still playing in the moment, and you still have to act like a reasonable adult.
Yeah.
You have to act like a reasonable adult. You cannot curse, you cannot swear, you cannot say the N-word, you cannot talk about his mother. You're in an environment, you chose to be in this environment. The kid may have just picked up the headset and just started playing. Parents might be out of town. I don't know what it is, don't care.
Yeah.
But in that moment, you have to be the adult. And I totally agree with you. I think that the toxic environment, especially in Pop One, gets way out of hand, to the point that I actually don't even play it anymore. I used to love the game. I really did.
Yeah.
Until I had a bunch of older guys, probably my age, maybe a bit younger, just reaming on young kids.
Yeah.
And these kids were like 16, 17 years old. They were legally allowed to be, it's not illegal to play when you're younger, but they were allowed to be on, and they're trying to have fun too. And these guys are just, and girls too, women too. It's not just men. I just want to state that.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with you.
And it's just like, you're all there fighting the same fight. Like, just take it back a notch. You don't need to be as hard. Like, I don't know what these people have to prove.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've
I think that they just get bored, and then they still get in this Call of Duty mentality where they're behind their handle of this. You got the other side and your side, all just, you remember the old Call of Duty days?
Yeah.
Pete, we used to this back when I was way too young to be video gaming or involved in that stuff. So we would all be part of that banter, because I think that banter back in the day was just who can say the stupidest shit and just let's go play. And then you'd end up on the same team. You'd be like, look who's on my same team now. And then we're like, all right, let's go play. And then next thing you know, he's on your side yelling at these people. But you take that, me sitting in a chair with a controller and a headset, and now you're throwing your whole body into it. That's why, when they talk about, is it okay to air hump somebody in VR? And there's some huge arguments. You're literally physically taking, obviously it's not real life, but you are making that real gesture in real life.
So if in real life, you would be charged 100%, right?
Yeah.
You'd actually be convicted of sexual harassment. And I think that, okay, so back what you were saying about Call of Duty days, that was unregulated. There was no stopping anybody from saying whatever they wanted. I mean,
it was bad.
It was. I think back because it was funny because I was younger, but now that I'm older, I'm just like, that wasn't funny.
Oh yeah, I think about the times now. I'm like, I remember the shit I used to say. I'm just like, it was not good.
Yeah, no, it would get you thrown in jail in some countries. But
yeah,
I think that because it was the Wild West, there was no regulation. There was nobody watching it. There was no, the community was kind of policing itself to a point where PlayStation sure as hell wasn't. Xbox wasn't. Xbox and PlayStation didn't really start intervening until people started changing their usernames to profanity.
Yep.
Then that's when they said, okay, hold on.
We're like, wait, what's going on in here?
yeah, you could put some F words in here. I didn't even know that. Yeah. Yeah. So, but when that started happening, and then they started actually getting there, I remember there was, it wasn't my friend, it was a friend of a friend of a friend's dog walker or something, but he was actually involved in PlayStation's first startup of being they would go into matches and they would find people. And they would just write down their gamer tag, and they put it into the system, check it. If they went in again and found that person again, or whatever that person was being delinquent for, then they would just remove them. But nowadays, it's all algorithms, right? It's all AI. So now you have a shitty chance that you may not have done nothing, but you're gonna get screwed for it anyway.
Yeah.
So
all you have to do now is be reported, like I think up to 6 times in some games, and you're done. It's not like you're done. I think it's time period now. It's like, hey, this first time's a day, next time's a week, and then eventually, if they get so bad, I think it's brought up out of the AI to an actual physical human, to where on PC they'll pretty much ban your IP. So I mean, that's how bad it can get. But I just the other day, like, I was playing Contractors, and there was a kid that had to been like 13, 14 years, and he gets on there and starts saying stuff about people. He wants people to go on a date with his mom, and for some reason, to me, I'm just like, oh, brother, like this kid doesn't know better. And next thing you know, all these younger gentlemen, and there was like 3 other women in there that were just like bantering with them. The kid loved it, but at the same time, it's like this kid doesn't know what he's saying, or it could be a grown man that has some freaking emulator on, making him sound like a kid. Like, who knows? But I'm just like, why is this happening right now?
Yeah, and like you said, some kids just don't know. They're not mature enough to understand what they're doing from right for wrong. And that's hard, because we want to be able to have this opportunity for everybody. VR can be expressed by everybody. I think children should be monitored 100%, but I also think that most children that are underage should also have time limits put on devices, whether it's any device. I don't care if it's VR or tablet or whatever it is. But I think that with VR can teach kids a lot. I'm learning stuff that I didn't even think I would ever learn in VR. I mean, I've watched documentaries and stuff that are just way over what I would ever watch, and I'm just being immersed in this environment, and I'm retaining this information better than I would if I was watching a video or reading a book or an article or some scientific document, whatever it may be. And I think it's a very useful tool if it's done right.
Yeah, that's why I'm really wondering how long it's going to take before we get out of our very strict way of teaching, which we know is a failing in our society, because it's just not how humans think anymore, to a more VR-ish type things. I see now these kids that go to school where I always had a book and a pencil in my hand, hardly ever touched a computer unless I had to write a paper or Google something. And now that's all. Like, the books are going out. They're stop producing all these massive books and wasting paper, to where all they do is do these lectures online. And especially with especially with COVID, has ramped up the process of technology tenfold. I feel like if we didn't have COVID, obviously I'm not saying it was good or bad. I'm just saying without that, I feel like we wouldn't be where we're at today, technology-wise, on communicating with Zoom and other things.
Yeah.
Like, I think it showed a lot of people, like, even my work changed to where I'm no longer working 5 days out of the week. I'm still working, but not in the office anymore 5 days a week. And it's like, you see these kids, obviously they went back to 5 days in school, but it's like, really, do they need it? Like, how much can you teach them in a lecture? How much could you do on a computer, or put a virtual headset on? That's where I'm really interested to see, and I hope with the next headset that comes out, we'll start improving development gains on that. Like, you can learn Spanish, you can learn French in VR. They're already showing things. If you don't always have to click that gaming section. There's other tabs that have apps. There's one that I saw for virtual business meetings where you can draw and have plans. And I was talking to them. I was like, man, for one, I want to get them on the podcast. And I was like, 2, this might be good for me to have like a VR Jungle get together and have a whole bunch of people sit down and watch VR Jungle live in VR, or have team meetings in there instead of just like getting on a Discord call. Like, let's get in there and let's see your movement.
Yeah, it's going to be dangerous. Like we said at the beginning of this, in 5 or 10 years, it's going to be a completely different realm. And
Yeah.
I think that people who are getting into it now really have that step up. I mean, I'm old to this game. I just started last, we'll say early December, whereas a lot of other people who have been in this for years, they've really made a name for themselves. If they keep going at the rate that VR is going, and especially yourself and others, like you guys are going to be the pinnacle of what we're going to perceive in the future on in VR. People that wait another year or two and they want to do content creation or whatever it may be, you're going to be late for the game, son.
Exactly.
Like now's the time, because like Meta's all made all those moves that we've talked about at the beginning, and without Meta doing that, and Vive and all the other ones, they're ramping up for us to be able to be VR is going to be very mainstream. I think it may, in the next 10 years, take over PC. I will state that right now. I think PC gaming will be taken over by VR or a combination of. So not just one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like I'm also wondering that, like, how long it's going to be before PlayStation is just PSVR. I know Xbox. They are Microsoft, so Microsoft has HTC Vive. And stuff like that, but they haven't made one specifically for Xbox. But why do that when their internal mainframe is Microsoft? It's ran off pretty much off the same store. But you have all that. Like, when's it gonna get to the point where we just get rid of the TV screen and we just play Call of Duty with a VR headset? You still have the controller or the mouse and keyboard, but people already complain about not being close enough to the screen. Obviously, it's gonna be weird for content creation with it all like this, and you're like looking around like.
Yeah.
I think it would change a whole thing if I want to see if they would ever make like a Call of Duty, and you have your screen there. Everything is 360, but you're still playing with a mouse and keyboard. Why not? Like, why? Why not?
Yeah. And absolutely, I think that there's like content creators had to come up with, well, how do I show, like right now with VR, prime examples, how do I show everybody else that I'm playing this game? Well, people are doing the green screens, they're standing in front of it. Now there's a camera with AI that's creating like this image overlapping person that's playing the game, like especially with the people that play Beat Saber, right? That is ingenious. That would have never been thought of, I mean, in any other environment, right? So when they come up with new digital outlets for us to game on, whether it be like handheld or PC or VR, the content creators are always going to come up with a different way of doing it, and it's amazing what they come up with. Like, I'm watching some people they're playing what's the fall, what's the zombie game? Oh, I can't remember at the top of my head now. Now I'm losing it. Something of the fall or something.
Arizona.
Anyway.
Oh wait.
We're both having a brain fart on this. Oh, geez. Anyway, after the fall.
There we go. Yeah, no, after the fall. Thank you. Like, that was really hurting my head, because I had, for some reason, had Arizona sunshine on my head.
You know what? There was people screaming at this a couple seconds ago.
Yeah. People watch this,
no, but
oh my gosh.
But they're doing the same thing. They're doing what people at Beat Saber did, but now they're doing it in that environment. And I think that it's just leaving for some really great ideas and really great content, and very diverse. And I think it's just doing some really good things right now.
Oh yeah, and so you heard about it Live, right?
Yeah.
So I'm having them come on next week and talk about what because they're integrating this new world of how people stream. I don't even think you need full green screen. I think you can do almost what I do with this show, to where it just kind of blanks it out. It won't be as good of the quality, because obviously the green screen would be better. But they're putting like full immersion into where, when you're looking at the content creator, even like Population One, I think Skiva did it from Between Realities podcast. He put himself into the actual character Population One, and it looked like him. It just overlaid him, and that was, if you haven't seen that video,
crazy,
because it it is pretty cool, and just to see that content creation develop. And so I definitely want to see how far they're going to go, because I think even Live has their own podcast, because they're all about making avatars and stuff. And so I think the last one I watched with them, they had Veil VR on, and they actually developed the 2 Veil characters and plopped them into their thing, and it was a cool idea, especially if you want that more VR-ish type stuff instead of this human interaction. Some people have their own. I tried the non-human interaction for a while. My co-host was an avatar. It was a cool concept idea, but so it all depends.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, like maybe it won't even take 5 or 10 years. Maybe we're almost there.
Yeah.
But that's crazy.
But I know we didn't even touch base yet on like any of the stuff that you're developing for like your game. I know you made a game, and that's how I originally met you.
Man.
You had a block of posters, and you're just like, if you want to be part of the game as a scavenger hunt part of this game, and I'm just like, yes please.
Yeah, so that idea kind of circles back to what we were talking about, like reward your players. And that's what I feel, especially when in this community, is just reward my friends, people that I'm talking to, people that I'm hanging out with, or people that I'm playing with. So my game, it's just a basic, it's nothing fantastic. It's only me. I'm cheating. I'm trying to find other ways of building it because I don't know how to build a game. Mm-hmm. So I'm learning on the fly. I'm doing some code here and there. I'm doing things that I can do. It's actually making pretty good progress. There's a lot of bugs in it. It's a basic zombie shooter. I don't want to give away too much of the storyline right now, but what I wanted to do, I built a game before for Android. It's a very simple ball game where it kind of goes, and it's on Google. You can download it. But beside the point, I've always wanted to build a game myself, like a full-fledged game. Mm-hmm. And I don't know enough to do so. So like I said, I kind of went out, I found programs to help myself. I use whatever I can to kind of do modeling and learn how to do modeling. I'm not very good at it, but at least I'm trying.
Trying.
But the thing is too, is I'm doing exactly what other companies do. And if I can't do it, I buy it, right? So if I needed the model and I can't build it, then I buy it. Mm-hmm. I have licenses to everything. I'm not ripping anybody off. I'm giving people credit to what they're due. But I wanted to build something that was mine. I wanted to build a VR game, and I just said, okay, well, let's see what I can do with it. So I designed this game, but while I'm waiting for it to develop, I'm doing all this little weird stuff in the background. So like I said, I was getting everybody to throw in their posters so I could put that in there.
Yeah.
I'm making my characters do, like, my AI and my NPCs do like little weird things here and there just for content creation. I actually just released this 2 NPCs are fighting in this ring. They're using knives and stabbing each other, and it's just a little tournament of 16 NPCs. Mm-hmm. So it's just something a little silly, but I'm enjoying it. So I think that's what kind of matters. And not going to go deep into what my job is, my real life job, but what I do is it's very high pace in real life, and I have a lot of stuff that I have to deal with. So me doing stuff like this is kind of my relief. This is kind of my way of, relaxing and just trying to do whatever I can do. So when people tell me, well, like with the game itself or the headsets, so this is a Ruck. Well, you can't really see it there, but that's all good. But these are like our headsets, and then we do these. And I'm not trying to promote everything.
No, you definitely promote
it. Those things are just stuff that makes me feel better. Like it's my mental health moments, and I believe everybody needs them, which is ironically why I kind of got really immersed into VR.
Yeah.
Is because I don't think people really realize the mental, like the capabilities of what happens to the brain when you put on a headset. And I think that people should really research a little bit more of it, because it's very important. It actually does create a lot, without getting too scientific, but it does actually help you relax a lot more than you think it does. Mm-hmm. Whereas playing on a flat screen, you're not really immersed in it. You're playing
the eyes. I think you're straining the eyes even more.
I agreed 100%, but your brain is focusing a lot more and doing a lot more stuff that it can be positive or negative in VR.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that just putting on the headset and watching YouTube, or putting on the headset and going into the Netflix app and watching a movie, it's so much different. It just brings me down. Like, it just calms me down. And I think that that's part of my de-stress, and I think that's really helped. I think that's why I want to build the game, and do all this other stuff, because I don't have a lot of hobbies.
Yeah.
But my hobbies are right now VR or whatever else it may be.
Yeah, so before you got in the VR, like you said, that your family all play VR. Did you're just like all of a sudden you're like, we're a VR family now?
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. They kind of will sit for a little bit, especially with the younger ones, because
Mm-hmm.
like my kids, I got really young kids. Well, 4, 8, 12, and 15, or 4, 8, not even close. 4, 6, 8, and 4, 15.
Yeah.
So the younger ones, yeah, they'll play with us, but for the most part, it's they're not. I don't think they really understand fully what VR can do, because I don't let them do a lot of the PC gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't let them do it. It's just they don't really want to do it. They got other things, but I think that once they get older, it definitely is a huge thing that they'll enjoy a lot more.
Well, just think, by the time that they're older and they actually want to start, sitting down and playing games, like what could even be out by then?
Right.
Could could VR even crash? Could VR just like go opposite direction if there's no good development coming out? Or like I feel like I think that VR just really needs to, at the pace it's going, it needs to think about what its future wants to look like, because the way that I see it going now is a cluster shit. Like just it's gonna
Yeah.
be too many hands in the pot, and it's just gonna be a whole bunch of shitty games that no one wants to play. And
Yeah.
I mean, we're already kind of seeing that now. I'm not saying there's a whole bunch of shitty games. I'm just saying that there's a lot of communities out there right now for such a small community of VR. You have this community, you have this community, you have this community.
Yeah.
And what they do is that right now, if you're looking at like the main first person shooters, which is Onward, Contractors, Pavlov, and now you have Vale. If you look at all four of these communities, they all at one point, they each have people that play really well in their game. But now, what does that do? It creates this animosity that people go into each other's discords, and they just start shitting on each other. And
Yeah.
but the whole vision of meta and the metaverse is eventually you go into this world, you have different portals, and you take you to the game. One large community. That's what VR was supposed to be. It was supposed to bring the world together virtually. But
Yeah.
we're not really doing that. We're like
No.
we're in this Western world of just like, if anyone creates anything better, like for instance, this podcast, I feel like, yeah, I'm still learning and doing that, but some people don't respect that I do. Some people still, I get a whole bunch of people that dislike this, and it's not even just because they don't like me. It's because they don't like who I have on the podcast,
Yeah.
and it blows my mind that it's like, oh, I had people from Vale on. I don't like, cool. Geralty's cool, but Vale, nope, screw that. And I think that's just, we have to correct that now while we're young.
Yeah.
Because if we start doing this and VR starts getting those AAA games, or just one game really makes something solid,
Yeah.
it's just going to be a toxic mess forever. We're just never going to fix it. We're never going to be the metaverse that could be.
I don't understand that mentality of like, why, if you don't like something, then just move on with it. But I guess, well, we're all different. But when, I guess it's kind of the Battlefield and Call of Duty mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got the hardcore Battlefield people, and you got the hardcore. Well, I guess not too many Battlefields anymore after the last one. But but my point is that you have these people that are just so into their realm of what they want,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's good or bad, and they will, just like you said, just be toxic towards the other environment. But I think we'll go back to the wild, wild west scenario, right? We are still in that phase, and we're going to be in that phase for a while, especially with the VR.
Yeah.
There's not, and I was talking, when we were talking about the original PlayStation and games coming out for that, we as the community need to police ourselves. And I don't mean policing as in like Gestapo type of police. I mean like legitimately, we need to just be very aware of what's happening in our environment, and be like you said, when that one person was being toxic and they're just being really out of control, report them.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, we have to also be aware that people are allowed to game however they want to game,
Yeah.
which unfortunately is not how I game. So
yeah, and I think we're just at this point where everyone, I think the top people are the ones that think they're making greatness struck gold, and they think that they are number one when they may not be, because there is no right now with VR, especially with the development still not even at its peak yet. PlayStation and Xbox, and even PC has pretty much hit its peak. There could not be anything better than a PlayStation. They make better graphics here, they make it faster in here, but at the end of the day, a PlayStation is a glorified PC.
yeah,
It is. A PC, the only thing that makes it better is the GPU that you're putting in that make that faster, or the frames per second that you're shooting out, and the speed that you're doing. What's higher than that? Higher than this is getting into real simulating things, running around,
yeah,
jogging in a room with a treadmill. Like there's still flights ahead that we still see. They're still tracking sensors. Even with the haptic vest, like how extreme is that to where if you really want to be hypersensitive in a VR game, that when you get shot by something, it doesn't just tickle you, it shocks the shit out of you. Like,
yeah,
that's an immersion that is still available for the people that really want to get really extreme into stuff. Could you imagine seeing like a tournament in a lane event to where it actually could potentially like bruise you, like really after getting shot,
absolutely.
and it drops the person? Because that right there, that would be a crazy term to watch. Obviously, it ain't gonna kill them or really injure them, but there is a risk that will make you like literally probably lose your breath for a second to not be able to be in the battlefield for a second.
Yeah, and that's very possible. It can be. It actually can be done right now. The only thing that would be the constraints is obviously weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Weight and cost. And these are all things that, with us developing our technology the way we are, by the way, we are the worst at inventing batteries. We cannot harness power to save our lives. Humans are we just can't do it. We suck at it. But once we actually figure it out, once we're able to make things a little bit smaller than they are, I would say that would be no problem at all. And I think that us as people who would I'd definitely go into some type of tournament with that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it would just bring. I want to say that I think there's the people that play VR for the nostalgia part of it. Not always nostalgia as in old school, but nostalgia as in like, I remember playing this game when I was younger and now I'm playing it in VR, or this game, it reminds me of a game that I played when I was a kid, or whatever it may be. Like the kind of the more, yeah.
Why Resident Evil was so big.
Exactly, right? But then you get the people who, like you said, put on the vest, put on the sensors, they do backflips and pole dancing and all this crazy stuff on it. And I'm not judging at all, because I think it's amazing that you're able to do that in that environment. Like, I think that in 5 or 10 years, and we'll keep going back to this, but if you're able to do that now, what would you be able to do in 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, and that's why I say we're in this area of weirdness, especially coming out of a crazy pandemic that I don't think anyone, like in the United States, we all thought it was a joke. I remember the first time I heard about that, it was like back when like Ebola happened. Like we had one person come to America with it, people got scared, 2 other people got it, and then it kind of went away. And then it's like we hear about this, and then we're like, yeah, all these people overseas are going home, and we're just like, that's weird. Like they're over exaggerating. Next thing you know, I get a call from my work. They're just like, hey, you guys are going home. And we're like, oh, it's going to last like a month. 2 years later, and
Yeah.
still repercussions from it. And it's like, the only thing that really held back I think the only thing holding the VR back now is money and investments, because a lot of people don't really see money going into events like console and PlayStation, because they've already had those huge Vegas lane events to where they can see people come and spend millions, spend money on good tickets and fill a full room watching people play. And that's why, like, with Vail for about esports, they're obviously, you have NEPA that did a lane event. They had good profits on that. But this is the first one that has a lot of crowdfunding, and not only crowdfunding, but a lot of investors that are willing to, right now the minimum thing is $35,000. That's the minimum. And when I had Tropical on the podcast, he says if I get more investors, that thing's just going to go up.
Yeah.
And he's flying 5 teams out there. I think 5 teams to Miami to do this for $35,000. If that fails, VR is going to hit a really hard time for a second, but I don't think it's going to fail. I really, all hopes for a good lane event. But if you see success in this one, which is in my eyes the biggest one that's happened since probably an old Echo one back in like 2015, 2016 when they were doing those.
Yeah.
But this one has a lot of eyes on it. And I think not only that, but it has people that are also in Pancake Games that are also saying, hey, if they're making, a prize pool of $35,000 and then maybe $100,000, what's going to stop a person like Shroud or Ninja or Dr. Disrespect or the Beard, what's going to stop them from finally putting on a headset and being like, all right, let's do this?
Yeah. Do you want them to?
100%. I 100% think they belong here. Not and it's I don't think they're gonna be good. I don't. In my opinion, I don't think they're gonna be good. I really don't.
Yeah.
If you look at Shroud, who has the #1 flick in the whole entire world when it comes to turning, and a lot of people think he cheats all the time because he does something that he's so good at, and he was the #1 CS:GO player in the world. And if you see his natural movement of a mouse is unreal. I don't think anyone in VR yet has tapped anything into that to where it's just unreal, because you are playing something real. I mean, there are some people that still do the 180 turn and stuff like that. Like me, people say I need to stop doing it, but I love the immersion. I turn around in real life. I'm all over the freaking place. I run into walls. But yeah, I mean, but bringing big name people that have huge following. Like, I don't care if you suck, but if you're making good content like Dr. Disrespect probably makes the best content in the game. He's got a good persona. He's got a good personality outside. It was like he's made some few bad choices here and there, but we don't need to get into those. But but he makes good content. But if people see him put on a headset and really see how beautiful it is, that's all those.
So why do you think that hasn't happened yet?
Because no top person has picked up a headset and really said they enjoy it yet. You know what they do? It really pisses me off. And this is every Christmas too. And this you're gonna see the passion come out on this one. Is that the first thing you do is when these people every year Christmas time comes, or when some big name person gets a headset, you know what the #1 thing they do? They jump off a freaking cliff on a freaking plank, and they make fun of people running into walls, and that's all people think VR is.
Yeah, I'm bad for that because I post that stuff daily.
Yeah,
no, I totally get it. Okay, so I'm gonna sidetrack for a second here. I post that stuff because I want other people to see how they need to be very careful when putting on a headset. I make fun of it, but in reality, I'm doing it more of a public service. Yeah. But no, I totally agree. But I think that I wonder why, because it's so easy for them to. The games that they're playing are more immersion when they're playing in a VR. Why have they not decided yet, like as of now, to put on a VR and do a Twitch stream or two? One, I think it's the money. I think it has a lot to do with the money. Mm-hmm. I think they don't want to fuck up their revenue. Mm-hmm. I think they want to stay with what they know. And I think that if they move, I think one of two things will happen. One, either they'll lose their following because their following is strictly PC, or they'll gain more followers from the VR, but they're not going to do both.
Yeah.
I think.
There has to be a dynamic switch, because if you look at the people now that stream, and I don't know what it is up with, and nothing against people that do this, you're all rights to covering your face and who you are as a person and your personal rights whatsoever. But I think a lot of people also depict VR content creators as people that don't show their face, that they live more immersion in the virtual reality that they're creating in their content than their actual real life. And the people that are streaming Pancake games, their immersion is playing on the screen. They also like to show their mouse and keyboard of their movements that they're moving. And not only that, is that, they show their face. Everyone that is a top contender in a Pancake game shows their face, and typically they're beautiful people. They're willing to show their face for a reason, because they got it. Obviously, not all of them do, but I'm just saying the majority, if you look at it, they're showing their face for a reason. But if you look at VR, you're covering that gold that they created around. If you took the beard, or I think what's his name, that bearded tattoo. What's his name? Why is that backwards? The guy that has tattoos,
I know,
something like that. Now, if you cover his face up, you just got the beard.
Yeah, and enough VR players have beards. No, that's the truth. So, but no, I agree. I just wonder, like, maybe we need in the community just need to create our own, right? And have that. We have quite a few that are pretty good and doing good things for the community as it is. But maybe we just haven't hit that milestone yet. Maybe Quest needs to sell another 2 million headsets before that happens. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, every year more kids get an Oculus, and then their friends play it, and then they want an Oculus. That's how the supply and demand works, especially when it comes to children that think games are cool. But so, like, how many people still watch, like Ninja or Dr. Disrespect, that actually play the games anymore? How many are just watching them because they enjoy them compared to the game they actually play now? Because, Ninja made some, he's made a lot of money, and he's also, went for companies that no longer even exist. He made that $1 million deal with, what was it, Mixer or something Xbox type related thing. Which is no longer around anymore, but at least he made his money. But he lost a huge following doing that. And then now the game that he was most popular at, what he first started out was DayZ, was one of his most popular games he played before he went to Fortnite, and he showed people what actually a top skilled player looks like. But I think in the state that he's in, because he doesn't give a flying crap what he plays anymore, a lot of the things he just plays WoW. And, I think he'd be a good person to actually put on a headset and show people, because he has the personality. And it might actually be good for him, because the dude has lost his shit a couple times on it, because that's his life. So imagine him putting on a headset. I think that would be the best person to start with.
I agree. I think that's a good call. I think we just need couple more months, a few more years under our belt until we start getting the I guess those type of players. But it is unfortunate that they're not doing it now. I think they can generate a lot of revenue off of it. See, the thing is, with a lot of streamers, that's not their full-time job. We might think they are because we see it, but they own businesses behind closed doors. They sell their own merch, they do all that extra stuff that we don't see behind, right? So it might be a bad business move. It might be all their money soaked up in PC version gaming. So I don't know what it is, but I agree.
Yeah, so very limited. I think he's on one of my teams where he's in the Discord. He goes, famous last words, 1v1 Shroud in VR. And then he says VR viewership just isn't worth streaming on Twitch right now. I agree. If you look at the top games that we have, I think the highest viewer on Population 1 would get maybe 100 views, 150 views. It's just not really there. And, what I really think is that a lot of these top contenders, I think they're waiting for that AAA game, to have that revenue or that following. Like, everyone says, like, when's Call of Duty going to make a VR game? Why? Why do that?
Yeah, I don't want Call of Duty VR.
Why? When Activision, was it Activision? There's two brands that were just bought by Microsoft that is going to be, I think it was Activision that was bought, right? Activision and then Bungie.
Yeah. No, not Bungie.
It's the people that made Fallout.
Another brain fart.
Fallout.
I don't got it.
Crap. So, but yeah, so Microsoft just bought a crap ton of that, and so why instead of going after these AAA people, we just make a new AAA game? That's its own thing. Like, what's stopping like Contractors or like Ghost of Tabor being a AAA game, or Veil being a AAA game?
Yeah, and you know what? We don't have to. We can be a Microsoft to a PlayStation. Like, we can be something that's totally different. You were talking at the beginning of the show. Brands have their own titles that are released on their systems, and we do on VR. I totally do, but I just don't see why it hasn't been brought up to that same par level. Yeah. Whereas I would definitely rather watch somebody in a full kitted out, like just stuff everywhere on them, and see the screen and them just immersed in this complete environment, rather than watching somebody playing a game on a screen, watching their keyboard. Like, to me, I guess because I've played VR, and maybe people that haven't played VR, they don't see that expansion, but I do. So
and the company's name is Bethesda. Thanks, Barry.
Oh, right. Right.
But when you say that, seeing someone fully kitted out and everything, so where do you think it draws the line of what gaming is, and then when it becomes a sport? Because eventually, if you're fully kitted out, or like us with our gun stocks and stuff like that, we're putting a lot of weight. Like, how much does that really get away from true gaming aspect? Obviously, you're still loading in a game, but I think there's still gonna be a line of traditional gaming and virtual reality gaming, because there was a long time. It was about 2 years ago. We were starting to tailor our esports team to be called VR Esports, VR Sports Havoc, and they almost wanted us to get rid of the E out of it, which is electronics, and just call it sports, because if you even look at NEPA, it is no longer a true esport. It is a VR sport.
Right.
They haven't really switched that dynamic yet, but we were told through rumors that it was going. That's what they were doing, and obviously it never happened. I think we still have the E in sports, but that's what I'm talking about. Like, when do you think there's going to draw a line to where it's too immersive to even be a game?
I think it's about the brand. I think it depends on what you want to portray. Do you want to portray like the milsim aspect of the game, like where you physically look like you should be in the game, or do you want to have it where it is more streamlined, where you just have a headset on and a couple controllers? What does your audience want? Do they want to see XYZ? Like, what's more immersive for the audience? See, the problem with VR is the solid immersion is only in the player. The person that has a headset on, that's kind of it. It's fun to watch a person and then see what they're looking at on TV, but you're not actually getting the exact same feel of the game that the person with the headset on, obviously, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
until they give us a better way to view, like send that to a wider screen.
Right. Or everybody puts headsets on, everybody's circles everybody's in their own room, and everybody just watches the game or whatever happens in front of them in a ring. And so now everybody's immersed in it. You can turn around, you can see another 100,000 people, and now you're in the game with everybody. That's the only way I see that everybody is immersed in the same type of game, watching the same game.
Yeah, and I could see them doing that with lane events. I know that they were even talking about doing it for Veil, is that you could watch it from a VR headset to watch it Veil. I mean, they're already doing it for basketball games, to where you're courtside. You spend a couple dollars to watch it, but you're courtside watching a live basketball game as if you're there. But I think that if we go that route, for one, the servers would have to hold a lot, potentially 100,000 people in there, and they would have to find a way to make those people viewing it as little space on that server as possible. unless
Well,
unless you find a way to silo different cloud servers to where you're just looking at it as a screen and not physically in that server being played the game.
but you could have it where like you do for is it what what is it metaverse where you can go in and you're kind of in these like little cubicles overwatching whatever 3D, and no, it's not even 3D, it's just a big picture frame of like Snoop Dogg or whatever was on it, and you got like if you could do that where you have the people like in this auditorium almost
Yeah.
watching the game from down below, and then the people playing. I think that would be really cool.
Well,
To
they
be
do that
honest
with
you.
games. They do that with games in Meta. Not Meta, it's Horizon who does it.
Horizon. That's right. Yeah,
Horizon
yeah,
has
yeah.
that thing, and they've also done it for lane events as well. And that's what I think they. I don't know if they're going to work with exactly with them, but all that is taking is Twitch to make a portal to where you have a browser in VR, almost like if you're watching Netflix or YouTube from your VR headset, where you have a screen.
Right.
You can actually sit around and talk to people, because at the end of the day, if you want to talk to someone in there, there's ways to turn mics in off and off. You don't want to hear other people talking in the movie or something like that.
Yeah.
And then have it to where they show a browser, but that browser for Twitch is only made for VR. I think that
Right.
if Twitch would go that way, or even, I'm not even saying Twitch do it. Twitch is already flooded with too much monetization, and it's making people it's too, like, if you're not a big name person, sorry, like, you can play all you want, you could potentially get there, but it's at the point now, like we are here in VR, to where it's already had its people that's been at the beginning, they're at the end.
Right.
We are now
Right.
at the beginning of our thing, to where, in 2 years, in the 5 to 10 years, this podcast, if I keep doing it consistently, will be a lot bigger compared to someone that's going to start in that 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. Agreed.
So what's stopping someone from making a platform, or Meta or Horizon making something like Twitch just be tailored for people to put on a headset, you watch people that are streaming, and you give them a streaming platform?
Why don't we just make one?
Right.
Okay, shut it off. Turn it off.
Uh,
You didn't see what happened till 5 minutes ago. Delete it. No,
yeah.
I think it's something that should be done, and I think it's something that don't let Twitch know about it. They'll definitely take it and
I
run.
mean, I have so many people, like, I want to, like, I'm not going to give you all my ideas, but there's like 3 companies that I know that if they make a portal into VR, they'd make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think I think that once the investment's there, that people are going to start flocking in. Or just one day, it's gonna be one person. I can already feel it's gonna be one top person is gonna put on a headset, and then the flocks are gonna come. And what I was talking to you about this before we even started this is those traditional people that started in from 2010 to 2020 range, they will hate it tenfold. It's because a lot of people in a lot of their Discords, I said, they want to keep to this traditional small community of VR. Obviously, if it gets bigger, they become bigger. But at the end of the day, like, it's just, I think they're afraid of what's going to be larger, because then their opinion gets downgraded by percentages from their Discord compared to people that are being flooded in. Because then that one person that just made that upflux, I'm sorry, but your Discord might have so many people in it, but that person, you're still going to lose people from that Discord going to what is the most hip popular thing.
Agreed.
So I think the biggest thing is that, like, there was one, I don't even want to say a name because then people know I was talking about this. So yeah, we're going to not say about it. I can tell you after the stream.
We will. Yeah, we'll talk about it after.
But we've gone pretty far into this, but is there anything you want to kind of spiel out, if you want to talk about before we
So yeah, absolutely. Quickly, just before we wrap up here, just want to thank you very much for having me on the show.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
really appreciate it, actually. Always do. It was great talking to you. I'm sure we're gonna have many more chats later on in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, so if anybody's looking for accessories, VR stuff, we're doing a lot in the future. We actually, I was gonna have some, but they didn't come in time. But we have some guns coming in for the
Sweet.
accessories, and they're going to be all decked out in RuckUp. So I'm stoked about that. Fortunately, they didn't come in black and white. We do have headsets, which I kind of showed. I don't really want to do too much marketing stuff on here because I just wanted to chat with you mostly. Yeah. But you can check us out at www.ruckupvr.com, and pretty much every social media platform you can imagine, which I freaking hate being on. I hate social media.
Dude, you're everywhere.
I hate it. I absolutely hate having to do what I have to do for social media. I'm a very introverted person. I like to be by myself. I like to be with my family. I like to go hunting. I like to be up in the mountains away from VR when I can. But for the most part, yeah, I know I'm everywhere. I get that a lot. I guess I freaking broke the algorithm or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I really appreciate it. Honestly, I really do appreciate having me on, and I thank you for everybody who's watching.
No, likewise. Appreciate you coming on as well, and we'll definitely have to do this again multiple times over because obviously we could tell we talk. I could have went for another 30 minutes for sure. Yeah. You know, we could have pulled a Joe Rogan 3-hour podcast, like I said. But I think I'm not large enough for people to want to listen to my podcast that long. Yeah, that's a sad thing.
For 3 hours?
Yeah, for 3 hours.
I don't even want to listen to I didn't even want to listen to my own podcast at 3 hours long.
There's sometimes like I'm really bad at pulling stuff back from TikTok, and so now I do the lazy way to where I do the very first 3 minutes of it, and I go, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Knock her out.
The rest. But yeah, so I have all your links in the description. You even have this kind of Linktree bio type thing as well. That's on there as well. Yeah. It has your feed, has everything. Like you said, you have damn near every single social media account that you could think of, and that's what I do too. And I also dislike it as well because I feel like obligated to go in there and just like retweet like, and I'm just like, man, like I would like hire someone for it, but then sometimes I get I enjoy because not only that, but it keeps me in tune. So when I do get on things, it's like this knowledge that I try and consume because I've had like TBG, my co-owner, he's like, can we just give someone this? Because sometimes you get too busy, you like forget. And I'm like, no, this is mine. This is my baby.
Yeah.
So, links in the description. If you go check out the products, especially headset. I've been looking for one of those, so I'll probably be looking into that as well. I've been looking for one, and just I'll have to tell you an idea. Not on here. I'm going to give it to you. About something that I would like to attach especially for standalone people. But other than that, just talk about a little bit about this podcast really quick, and then we'll end it. And so Olin VR, if you haven't, that's our main sponsor. They do gun stocks. If you use Havoc at checkout, you get gun stock for 15% off, and you get a little Havoc chain. And then coming soon will be more of their fun stuff with Havoc. Eventually, you're gonna see my beautiful face on. I just got my gun in. I sent him some headshots, and I go, look at that. But other than that, next week I have, like I said in this podcast, I have Live On. They do a new streaming platform where it makes you more immersive. So we'll see more about that because I don't even know enough about that yet. So we'll see how that goes. But Joel,
cheers.
Nice having you on you. Go check out his website. Like I said, all the links in the description. Better go check it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Peace out, everyone. Bye.